check the mic check. Syphilis.
Go on.
Ah. Should I get louder?
Bring him up. Get louder.
I'm Tom. I'm having fun. Is this being recorded?
Is this the intro?
Is this being recorded? Because it should be the intro.
Welcome, family heads. I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
I'm Matt Glass.
And I'm Tom Murphy.
And this is the first episode of a brand new segment we're trying out called Tom Hates Albums.
God, do I.
Basically, we know our good friend Tom has a very eclectic music taste.
Yes. As proven by his previous 2 appearances on the podcast.
Which, to be fair, we're eclectic enough that I did like the albums and are not a good show of what my true feelings are.
That's true. That's true.
But to get a better gauge, I think we thought it would be a fun idea to bring Tom in to discuss classic beloved albums that stand the test of time to see if Tom can find an album in that regard that he truly likes.
These are ones that the internet has been lauding as some of the best albums of all time to enjoy in this day and age.
Yeah.
And we just want to see what Tom thinks of them.
Exactly. And I thought starting with an album beloved by many for its apocalyptic soundscapes that beautifully captures the feeling of depression, we are talking about Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures.
I don't want to upset anybody, but I really did not like this very much, at all.
That's okay. It's definitely not the most accessible album to get into, even though it is very good. Ian Curtis's vocal stylings, while very human and raw, they're very untraditional and not the best trained. So it makes sense that they're not the most appealing. But and the atmosphere is a lot. It's very heavy.
Yes, for sure.
As you saw from my previous episodes with my likes and my dislikes, clearly I prefer songs with heavy synth that say
and cock
lick
jokes.
My balls a lot and stuff like that. You know, I like Pokemon puns in my music or it's not fucking good, okay?
Joy Division doesn't have that, unfortunately.
And that's the biggest drawback that I can
biggest flaw of this album.
Yeah.
Nurse Joy Division.
Now that's an album I can get behind.
It sounds like a Wheel of Fortune, you know what I mean? Yeah. It sounds like that shit.
All right. Well, I guess we'll do a little track by track rundown to see what Tom's opinions are on each of these things, starting with the opener, probably Joy Division's biggest song, Disorder.
Did you want to do a history first?
I would love to do a history, Tom. You're better at this than I am.
What can I say?
He's
to be fair, your notebooks that has the history in it isn't blocked by a microphone for me, but it is for you.
That
when
is
you're
true.
Speaking normally.
That is true.
He's also paid attention to the format of the show.
I've listened to the entire season in the last month.
Unlike us who don't listen to it after we put it out.
That's fair. You lived it.
I actually listened to all of them.
Oh,
I listened
every
to
single one.
I'll be honest, my episodes are my favorite, and I don't know what
sense.
that says about me.
They are pretty good.
They are
I
good
listen
ones.
to it and I feel like a piece of shit because I laugh at my own jokes, and I'm like, oh, should I be? Am I that? I don't. I feel like a scumbag right now.
But hey, we find them funny.
That's true.
That's something.
That's true. The people don't. I don't know why you keep bringing me back.
Because we love you, Tom.
It's because you want more people to join the mob outside.
Exactly.
That's true.
My parents are out there now in the mob, are fighting to get me out of
Hi,
here.
Mr. and Mrs. Murphy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Unknown Pleasures was released June 15th, 1979 on Factory Records, and it is the debut release of influential post-punk band Joy Division. Joy Division formed in 1976 and consisted of Bernard Sumner on guitar and keys, Stephen Morris on drums, Peter Hook on bass, and Ian Curtis on vocals. In 1980, after the tragic passing of Ian Curtis, the band eventually formed New Order, another classic new wave. Yeah, it's a new wave band.
I gotta say, I actually was surprised by how well paced this album was.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it little by little, track by track, but
yeah, it's definitely an album that is drenched in atmosphere, very heavy atmosphere that really makes you feel the human emotion. It's a depressing album.
it's an oddly stylistic choice.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of works for what it's trying to communicate.
So Tom,
Yes,
I guess now we can start the track by track,
we can absolutely.
starting with the opener, Disorder, probably Joy Division's biggest song.
So I should start by mentioning that I did listen to the wrong version and then the right version. So I listened to the
Collectors.
Yes, the collector's edition, which was, let's see. They were remasters from 2007 when I should have been listening to remasters from 2019 and also about 7 or 8 less songs.
Yes.
I'm gonna say all of the 2007 remasters were about 0.5 less than whatever I rank the 2019 remasters.
Gotcha.
Because the only thing that really changed with the remaster is the instrumental. Like
The sound
it sounded a little
production,
cleaner.
yeah.
And not to spoil anything, I didn't love it that much anyway. So it coming in cleaner, it helped a little bit, but not a ton.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
with that said, Disorder, like a 5.5 out of 10. And not to spoil the rest of the rankings, but it might be my highest.
That's okay.
I didn't vibe. It's not my vibe. There wasn't enough.
Yeah. This is not a Tom
Pokemon.
album. There's not enough
No.
Pokemon on this thing.
No.
I have such weird music taste.
Yeah.
I need to get that point across.
This is definitely an album for depression.
Yes.
Just to understand like
Yeah.
human emotion and just going through it.
And I feel like if it was 10 years ago when I was a lot sadder, I would have vibed a little better.
Yeah.
But like
Tom is a happy boy.
backtrack of a drive to Dungeons and Dragons and then again when I'm playing Baldur's Gate doesn't like it's not
Not a good soundtrack.
it's not a good vibe
Yeah.
for that. And I did pause and like try to listen and have some kind of notes ready to talk about. And this is the best I got is that it was okay. And it wasn't my cup of tea.
Okay.
It's all a matter of perspective, I
Yeah.
think. And I think that's what we cherish here at the Family Album.
Exactly. That's
best
the whole
that we
point of the
can.
show.
That's the only reason they keep bringing me back.
Honestly, I think the overall production of this record,
Yeah.
for me, it reminded me a lot of the track Hurt by 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
Given the fact that there was always kind of like a humming.
Yeah, it is. It has this like punk kind of DIY low quality sound to it, but at the same time, the instrumentals sound pretty clean,
Yeah.
which is a really cool sound. So I understand that.
Like I said, I think a couple minutes ago, the first track reminds me of Flushed Away, like
Yes.
the Dancing with Myself.
Billy Idol's Dancing
Yeah.
with Myself.
Yeah, shout out to Flushed Away. I love that movie.
All my homies love Roddy the Rat.
Some good stuff. Hugh Jackman.
That's
You
Hugh
know that?
Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
I didn't know
no,
that.
not Roddy the Rat. Is that the main character, Roddy the
Yeah.
Rat? Yeah, that's Hugh Jackman.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Holy shit.
I watched that movie like less than a year ago. I just need to get that point across.
Huge Flushed Away fan.
Not
huge
really.
Flushhead.
My friend put it on at his birthday party for some reason in like one of the rooms.
At his like
And
20th birthday.
I think it was his 22nd birthday
Wow.
party because it came on directly after Taylor Swift's 22.
Gotcha.
I might be wrong about that.
You're never
It might
too
have
old for
It might have
Flushed
been
Away.
23rd birthday. But they have two TVs in two different rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking back and forth between that and like I think there was like a Smash Bros tournament in
Okay.
the other room.
Fair.
Flushed Away, Smash Bros. What more do you need?
Yeah.
Honestly.
This is why you shouldn't value my music opinion.
I think what I really do like about this track, though, is that the drums are like not entirely aggressive, but
Yeah.
they still are punchy.
Yeah, we got one.
I think they work.
Yeah, it's a very, I would say it's like delicate but effective is
Yes.
how I would describe the drums. Like they're not overbearing, but they serve their purpose very well.
I also like the whooshing noises that are toward the end.
very ambient.
There's a really weird like tone that this, again, that we've mentioned before, that it sets. And the underlick, I think, that goes through the entire song, which
Yeah.
is sort of like, for those who don't know, it's sort of the instrumental hook that sort of, goes underneath whatever the singer's singing, and you
Yeah.
kind of remember that more than like,
The lyrics.
or even the melody that the singer's singing.
I appreciate that clarification because when I hear the term underlick, that is not what I think of. I just
No.
need to get that a point across.
You
Fair.
can find something else when you type in underlick.
Yeah, don't Google that on its own.
But if you find any links, send them to us at familyalbum@gmail.com.
We just like research. Don't
Go to
ask.
my personal email, actually.
Yeah.
I'll text it to all of
Yeah,
you.
we'll mail it to all of our
Yeah,
listeners.
every listener. Every time you listen, you will receive a letter.
Shall we keep going?
Yeah, I guess like Tom, are there any specific tracks you want to talk about?
Not
particular?
real- that was the only one that
Yeah.
I like stood out in any sort of meaningful way to me. In that I thought it was like I was listening to it and I started to bob along and get a little into it. Like I wasn't super into it, but there was enough there that I was like, I don't think I would go back and like intently listen to this, but I could see it like being on in the background and being like, oh yeah, this is cool.
I mean, that is fair because after this, it pretty much takes a drop in
It
energy.
does take a drop
Yeah.
in energy, and I like my music with high energy.
Yeah.
So I was not a huge fan of a majority of the rest of this album, and by a majority, I mean the rest of this album.
I mean, all of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the majority -1 minus that first one.
Yeah.
I would give the rest of these like maybe a 3 out of 10 on the 2019 remaster, a 2.5 for the earlier one, just to keep, let everyone know my true
feelings.
It all blended together in the same, like, it all had the very, very similar vibe, and it felt like the same song for 30 minutes.
Huh.
And as we know, I'm not a huge fan of the long song.
That is true.
Which, yeah,
No, honestly, and I think you're right in like, or at least it's very valid that you don't like the repetitive nature of this album, because that is one thing that I wrote in like my conclusion was sort of like, I can see why people might not enjoy this if they aren't a fan of the repetitive songs.
Yeah.
I think it kind of works in sort of making all the songs sound like they belong together. And for what it's worth, like the simple instrumentation, even though it is simple, they are pretty tight with it.
Yeah, those bass lines are fucking incredible. I love them.
Yeah.
They're great.
Another thing I wanted to say about the music as a whole, it felt to me, I know this is not probably correct, but when I was listening to it, I just felt like it was if the B-52s played like downbeat, like sadder music.
I mean, I think that's just like a product of
it's
of the
probably
genre.
A product of like also probably similar time periods.
Yeah,
around there.
17. I don't know when the B-52s were a thing. Probably around that
early
time.
80s, probably.
Yeah.
1852, probably.
Exactly. When they founded the B-52s.
Yeah, no, it was B-52
It's
before
like-
52.
it's like the rhyme.
They were there before Jesus.
It's the rhyme. In 1852, George Washington founded the B-52s.
Exactly.
Classic rhyme we all know and love.
They found
where they rhyme 52 with 52.
This is why the school system is failing us, family heads.
It's true.
Yeah, I bet none of you knew that.
Fun fact. Didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying.
I was not important, I promise.
Most people, I found out from one of my friends that apparently most people in like our generation can only read at a 6th grade level.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm in 8th grade. Fuck all y'all.
Nice. I don't know.
I don't know how to read.
That's true.
So
at all.
we're pretty much covering all bases here, I think. Yeah. This is why we work so well together, because we can't read.
For tracks that stood out to me, I really enjoyed Day of the Lords, New Dawn Fades, Shadow Play, and I Remember Nothing. Those 4, in my opinion, were the ones that really jumped out at me, and I went, I really, really like the way that they went about this.
I agree.
Like Day of the Lords, I love like the sort of change of pace that's like really slow. There's this like weird like car commercial style of like music that they're playing.
Yeah, that guitar tone is like so like ominous. I love it how it transitions from Disorder.
I thought a hatchback was gonna like fly through my window. Like, you know what I mean? Like, could you? No, but the lyrics are giving like a sense of misery, of course, and like I don't know, the drums when he sings "Where will it end?"
Yeah,
it's insane.
I know.
Like,
They're so good.
like here's the thing. Like I said before, a lot of the instrumentation is simple, but they understood how to complement each other a lot. It reminded me a lot of Innuendo by Queen, especially this whole like misery sort of like
the album or the song?
the song.
Okay.
Not the entire, the whole, no. Delilah, like no, none of that shit.
No time for soup in the laundry bag.
Whoop titty titty, whoop titty doo. Wow. Anyway, one of the other ones that I really, really enjoyed was New Dawn Fades.
Love New Dawn Fades. That bass line, oh my god, it's so good.
And the guitar, it's probably one of my favorite. I think it's like my favorite riff on the whole
I can
song.
just like imagine like a movie scene of like a team like walking out in slow motion to that song.
From Twilight. Right?
Twilight.
New Dawn.
That's true.
New Dawn Fades. That's the
Tom, it's actually New Moon, okay?
not the newest one that I'm making.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I can announce it here. I've been signed on to write and direct. The strikes have they've left
been
them
lifted?
desperate. No, they haven't been lifted, but they are desperate, and I'm not signed on to anything. So
You're doing Twilight 5. You're putting a 5
Twilight
between
5,
Twi and Light to 5 Light.
yeah,
Called New
yes, yes, exactly.
Too Twi, too light.
Just wait for Twilight 8, where it's just TWI and then the letter 8.
Twait.
Twilight.
Twait Light.
Okay, anyway, now that dumb shit is done, Matt, what important music thing did you say?
No, I mean, I think it's really interesting the way they kind of contemplate like the thing that they're talking about as like an easy way out, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
like, and how like it's not the answer. I like the way that the vocals like delivery sort of encapsulates what he's singing about losing the thrill or the exhilaration. Like it's worn out and like, I don't know.
It's raw.
Yeah, it's really
pure
raw.
Human.
Also, the drums just like leave enough room for like everything else to work. So that's what's great about New Dawn Fades. Each section is simple, yet you kind of want more.
Yeah, Bernard Sumner, whenever he's given a chance to just like shred, he's fucking incredible. Very, very good.
Nah, for sure.
And I do think some of these titles are hard as fuck. Like,
They are.
New Dawn Fades is so good. I named a movie after it. Day of the Lords is a pretty good title, and Shadow Play specifically.
Cool.
Those three stick out to me as like those are some dope ass titles. I don't know much about the songs despite listening. Like they've all blended together for me. I do like the titles, and they deserve credit for that.
Cool.
The last two I'll just kind of mention. I'll try to be as fast as I can. Number 7, Shadow Play, one of the ones that has a pretty badass title. The drum work in the beginning is just fucking perfect.
Dude, those ride cymbal flourishes are fucking phenomenal.
They just swell and it becomes like, oh my God. But then the lyrics I think here are interesting because they're kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
Like in comparison to a lot of the other things, like you're waiting for something and it's like a yearning. Like like, it's real, whatever he's waiting for. Not a lot to say about it, but I really appreciated just like the all around like sort of way they executed the song.
I also like how if coming off of like all the slower tracks and more just like a straight ahead rock song once it gets like going, which is really nice.
I really think like I would definitely relate this to some inspiration behind like 9 Inch Nails is like
definitely
that whole album with Hurt on it because of just like some of the room tone and the humming and like I feel like there was definitely this album walked so that album can maybe run. Moving on to the last one that I have in my liked playlist now, number 10, I Remember Nothing.
Yeah.
I hate that it's long. I will say like it's 5 minutes, which whatever. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't like that it's the longest one, but I definitely think that the lyrics are my favorite. These are probably my favorite lyrics.
Yeah.
Like
That's
out
fair.
of all of these, it's just my favorite lyrics. I love the random like clamoring and clanging and glass breaking or whatever, branking as I was about to say,
if you will.
Like
it feels like a funeral march, like that whole song.
It's so like melancholy and somber. I definitely want to revisit these 4 tracks. An honorable mention, which I don't know why I don't have in my liked playlist, Insight.
Insight's good.
Insight was...
That's dark. That song's dark as fuck.
It's so dark. I love the weird humming in the beginning. That's the 4th track for all you guys know. Kind of reminded me of Saw 2, just a little bit.
It's very, very empty feeling track, and it has the laser blast breakdown.
Yes, there is like a laser solo. I think I tried to like do an automatopoeia of the drum beat. And da boom ba boom ba ba, like whatever.
So 1, 2, and 3, 4.
I you know what? Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I will say, if I Remember Nothing, I do also remember sticking out a little. Like the beginning and the end stuck out as like 5 out of 10 tracks for me. So I did want to just point out that is one that did.
Hey, we got something else.
Like
they
bookended it with songs that I thought were okay.
No, I mean honestly, that's fair. That's fair.
You like what you like.
It's very like number 4, Insight. What I was going to say was that it's very 1960s inspired. And I think that's what I really, really like about it. And then the laser solo.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Like, I don't know why they put that in there, but hey, fuck it.
It's neat.
Daft Punk did it. You can do it too.
Gorillaz did it.
That's true. Gorillaz did do it. But I think I like the message of the song about being like thankful about knowing the wasted years and not to do that. And sort of like passing on the knowledge. So I think it's nice.
Cool.
It has a weird sentiment to it. It sounds like he's been through a lot, though. This song is fucking dark as fuck.
It's very dark.
But, oh my God, like, the overdriven guitars, like, toward the end, I'm like, oh my God.
They're so good.
There are a lot of really, like, given the fact that this album has a very repetitive nature, there are a lot of very, like, subtle stylistic choices, even besides the overall, like, tone of the album.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think when it works, it works.
Yeah.
But I do also think that in respect to Tom, it could have maybe taken a little bit more risks.
Okay.
In terms of that, with some of their like more experimental.
In terms
stuff.
of like doing more with like their songs, like like genre switches or just like expanding ideas?
In an effort to make it more accessible, maybe making it more memorable with
Okay.
each track instead of just the first and the last. Because
Yeah.
I mean, Tom probably isn't the only person who like thinks of this album this way. You know what I mean? Like,
I will say the consistency is impressive.
It
Like
is.
there are
Yeah.
musicians who I wish were more consistent like that. Like if there were people that like have a couple songs that I do like and a couple songs that are not good because they're just so all over the place, and then they could be as this consistent with the stuff that I do like, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So the consistency is also like commendable and impressive. Just it's consistent in a type of music that I don't vibe with very well.
Plus, like they're making the music like that they want to make. Like Ian Curtis had a dark life, so he was just writing about that, just trying to cope with it.
for sure.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
That's a very nice insight.
see what you did there.
I don't get it.
I didn't listen to the album.
AJ, what tracks stood out to you, do you think?
All the ones that you mentioned, and I'd also say Inner Zone,
Okay.
because it's just like a straight ahead punk song, which I thought was kind of cool. And also, I believe Peter Hook is the vocal. This is the main vocalist, and Ian Curtis takes backup, which I thought was a cool change of pace.
I think this one's interesting. It kind of reminds me of Footloose by Kenny Loggins,
Yeah,
just a little
in
bit.
a way.
That's a good song.
I do.
Now that's a good song.
Listen, they made me learn the dance in gym class in high
shit.
school. I had to learn square dancing.
Lord.
High school's weird. Day of
It
the
is.
Lords.
High school
Anyway,
is weird. I feel like if my music taste was a little bit better in high school, I would have been listening to this.
Oh yeah,
Like,
this is definitely like an album, like a music taste defining album.
I was listening to Starbomb in high school.
I'm right there
and
with you.
Ninja Sex Party.
But then I saw the light when Dark Side of the Moon entered my ears, and then I was never the
I
same.
never did. I graduated to wrestling entrance music, and that's where we are today.
oh, AJ, did you hear about the redux of Dark Side of
I
the
heard it
Moon?
was fucking terrible.
Of Money?
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
It kind of sounded like Ken Kniff in some parts.
Oh, good.
He was kind of like,
So it's good. Is what you're saying. So it's the best song they've ever made.
It's the best version of Money.
That's
Shout
the
out-
best. That's the best song Eminem's ever made.
That is true.
Shout out to Roger Waters for making a fucking mistake.
It's not Can't
No,
Kniff.
don't give him a shout out. Roger Waters doesn't deserve that. Get him out of here.
Whisper in.
Yeah. Whisper. I see.
Roger Waters.
Sorry, I was trying to whisper and it didn't work out.
It sounded like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
This is a disaster.
It really is.
This is the greatest episode we've ever done.
Matt, anything else to say about Unknown Pleasures? Or shall we get into our final thoughts?
Maybe get into our final thoughts.
All right. Well, Tom, since this is Tom Hates Albums, do you hate this album?
I feel like hate is a strong word. I feel like hate would be like a 1 out of 10, and I want to find a 1 out of 10. I want an album to rip apart, but ripping apart this album would not be like, it wouldn't be right because it doesn't deserve to be. I certainly didn't enjoy it. The vocals are like too like in my ear. I felt like they were very close and quiet and like all up like on me. I wasn't a fan of that. It was very claustrophobic. And the instrumental was not like my vibe really. But calling it bad and saying I hate it would be a disservice to the quality that it did have. Like there is the consistency is impressive, and that is like that needs to be noted. And so is some of the titles of the songs are good as hell.
They are.
So I'd give this overall like at the beginning of this I came in very negative with like that 2.5, especially because I listened to a lot more songs than I was supposed to. And I added the 0.5 for the 3, and I feel like that's still like I want to put this at like a 3.5 to 4 out of 10, like a D plus C minus maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it got higher because you guys changed my mind a little bit with like talking about it in a positive way, in a way that I would never be able to even comprehend on my own.
That's all right.
So yeah, that's where I stand. This got a lot more serious and less boner related very quickly.
I think that'll change going forward.
Yeah, I need to, keep the audience, give them what they want.
Exactly. That's why they're here for Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the boner jokes. No, but I think that'll change going forward when you go for albums that are not as heavy or as dour. But Matt, what did you think of Unknown Pleasures?
I think the way the instrumentation is so simple yet so complimentary is to really be admired. It's like grungy, but kind of theatrical in a weird way. Like I get a lot of David Bowie and The Doors from like his vocal like delivery and like cadence. I oddly want more. I think. I don't think I want enough in like the collector's edition Because it sounds like Tom has had more
Yeah,
It
Joy
all
Division.
sounded the same.
the collector's edition, it split off between like the main album and then like live tracks.
yeah.
Yeah,
and that could definitely be seen as tedious. So
And
I
I
think
think it made a lot of the vocals that already were sounded kind of distant, quieter, and harder to even hear.
that's fair.
Which didn't help.
And I think, like, given the fact that that was the way that the album was presented to Tom, like, I can definitely see him getting very fatigued.
Yeah.
Especially since we did a bad job of clarifying which version.
No, that's not
to
your
listen
fault. I
to.
should have known better. let's be good. It was my fault. I should have known better.
We're working out the kinks, gang.
But the kinks are important. They make us who we are.
Like the band.
I was about to say the band.
Yeah,
They're pretty
they
cool.
make us who we are.
I was going for like
like
never
robots.
mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, robots.
Anyway,
I think what this album lacks, in tightness, it makes up for in this really raw performance.
yeah.
And like it pushes the boundaries a little bit, but not too much. Like there are some parts where I feel like kind of date the album a little bit in terms of some of these like weird like synths that were happening.
Yeah.
Like that's really a product of like late 70s, early 80s sort of like kind of like
Yeah.
weird noise. There were a lot of parts that kind of sounded like Michael Jackson's Beat It was about to start playing.
To be honest, I do kind of fuck with that kind of stuff. So those like little moments, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I hear you. You're there.
I like this.
Yeah, that's where the 2 comes from.
I said a lot of Gorillaz is like weird songs in their early career. Like this album walked so that they could run. The band focuses more on the sounds that they make rather than the theory behind the songs due to the repetitive nature of like using the same key.
Yeah.
But they pay attention. And I think that's what's really, really nice about it. It's just the level of intention they have behind just trying to be like together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can see this album being repetitive, but like I can definitely overlook it after hearing like the vocals and simple yet purposeful arrangements. And then also like the sparing use of electronics. So I'm genuinely surprised by how well paced this album was.
Nice.
I actually found something to like about like each track,
Yeah.
even though we didn't do like a track by track. Like I can see myself listening to this again, maybe as background music a little bit.
Yeah.
But like the 4 or 5 that I mentioned, I will probably put in like some playlist. This is definitely like like sort of existential, like
Yeah.
little bit like
This is an album to listen to when you're sad.
yeah, for sure. But not as like weird as like American football. Even though I've come around on American football,
Yeah.
I won't actively listen to this again, but I will definitely cherry pick the songs I like. And it reminds me of being in an old warehouse in Arizona in like the rusty, dusty,
Yeah.
like,
In the middle of winter.
yeah. I was going to think like hot Arizona.
Interesting.
Yeah, sweltering.
I feel like this album is very cold.
Interesting. So honestly, I give it like a B plus and an 8 out of 8 out of 10.
Nice.
8 out of
8
8
out of 10.
8
Wow.
out of 8 out of 10.
Damn, dude.
October 8th, 2010.
What a day.
What happened?
I believe Furry Vengeance starring Jason Bateman came out, and it used New Dawn.
Was it Furry Vengeance? Did you say Jason Bateman? I
Yeah.
want to say it was Brendan Fraser. Am I wrong?
It was one of those two.
I don't
it
know
was
what you're
Brendan
talking
Fraser.
about.
It was
I'm
Brendan
right.
Fraser.
I think it was, and I hate that I knew that.
While Tom's looking that up, I really enjoy Unknown Pleasures. Not so much when I first listened to it, but it's definitely a grower album. The more you listen to it, the more you like it.
It's a grower, not a shower. You know what I mean?
Probably not in Tom's case. I think he's kind of set on that. That's just not his style of music.
It was Brendan Fraser.
All right, point Tom.
I know movies, not music.
But yeah, the instrumentals are incredibly tight, even if they're not that complex. The atmosphere this album exudes is fucking unmatched. Very revolutionary for the post-punk genre and goth rock in general.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
Darker music for people to like really just take in. Ian Curtis as a lyricist is like very introspective, and I appreciate just like everything he wrote about before he passed away. And yeah, I'd give this album an A+. I love it. I'd definitely come around.
I think this album also raises a lot of question based off of its reception, right?
Yeah.
Because we have like, even though AJ and I kind of like really like dug in and like saw the elements that we liked, like it isn't accessible. And
Not at all.
And a lot of it kind of raises this point of like, is it like the history surrounding the album that really makes the album like such like something to be lauded? Or is it like the instrumentation itself. It really depends on the perspective.
Yeah.
So I think we raised a lot of pretty good points today.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think like it stands on its own, even without the reputation, because it's definitely like a cult classic album. I'm not sure what the reception was back in the 80s. I know that like they were kind of popular.
Pretty decent from what I looked up.
Yeah.
It looked like there were a lot of 10 out of 10s from what I could tell.
Because it was different for the time. There wasn't anything like super dour like to that extent around that time. So yeah, I think it's definitely a landmark album, and I'm glad you liked it, Matt. I understand why you didn't, Tom. And I think that'll do it for this first episode of Tom Hates Albums.
Would you mind if I set a tone for what people should expect for the future episodes
Yes.
by telling a little story?
Go for it.
So, in preparation for this, I thought it would be fun to listen to the worst album and the best album that you guys had done so far in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
However, by the time of recording, numbers 1 through 5 of AJ's season 1 retrospective are not out yet. So I asked him what number 1 is, and he didn't answer.
Oh, I did.
Well, he did answer, but with the worst album. So last night, I began listening to Cry Baby, my Melanie Martinez as well.
Wow.
And I got 3 songs in and turned it off. Let's go!
I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. I popped the fuck off.
I also want to say Erin Cavalier and honestly both the Cavaliers, phenomenal guests on the show. To the point, she made me want to listen to those albums with the way she talked about them. And I tried the other one too, like when I listened to that episode. I also didn't make it all the way through that one, I don't think. I might have made it all the way through, but I don't remember.
Halsey's is very boring.
Didn't care. So yeah, that I just wanted an album that I could shit on. And this was not good.
Go off on Cry Baby. Go off.
It just was. It was weird.
Right?
I got 3 songs in and I was uncomfortable.
Yes.
I can't imagine what the rest is.
It gets worse.
I'm sorry you guys had to go through that. I was on Spotify, so it was like showing the like little clips of like music videos.
Oh, dude, those are
like
wild.
I didn't like it. It was like the same clip over and over again. I don't even remember what it was, but it made me uncomfortable.
There's like a visual album on YouTube to like accompany all of the songs.
All the songs.
It gets wild.
It's gross.
It's weird. It's also a very moist album, as I kind of said in like that episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wetness.
Yeah. Melanie, Cry Baby is as I said in my season 1 retros. Actually, listen to that. You'll understand my qualms.
It's my favorite.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. And then there's also a review you did of an album that you didn't like, and that might be my favorite.
Oh, Life is But a Dream by Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, that was a good little short episode.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I listened to that album. You're right. It does really. It's not good. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But this actually could be a good time to remind the audience that we had some content over the summer. So please,
it's so
please feel free to check out all of AJ's reviews
and Matt's review
guest moments
and guest moments.
I don't want to say I make an appearance, but boy, the fuck do I make an appearance on that list.
But yeah, check out Family Vacation. We did some album reviews. Matt did a little compilation. I did a season 1 ranking. And now we're back for season 2 with our first new segment, Tom Hates Albums.
We are ready to go.
I used to be a cousin of the family, but now I'm like a bastard son.
Yeah, that we can't get rid of. But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this little segment. Let us know what you thought down in the feedback box below. As always, I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
I'm Matt Glass.
And I'm Tom Murphy.
And Tom Hates Albums.
God, do I?
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
21.